CMHO Talk Show.
This whole ordeal and how people feel about it, different opinions and whatnot. So happy to get it off there. Charles is,
I agree.
Yep. So that voice you hear is Nino.
Right?
Yeah.
But, you know, take CVILLE to the world, bring the world to CVILLE. And one thing that's not new, y'all, we're going to talk about, because Nino had a firsthand account of something that happened recently, and it just sort of, you know, roused a wave of contention that has existed in our area for a long time. Mm-hmm. Right. And for better or for worse, you know, like, because I'm of the age too, I've seen different businesses come and go. I've seen particularly the hip hop scene and like the Black urban scene in Charlottesville, you know, all the ebbs and flows of it. Mm-hmm. And as far as, you know, Black community feeling welcome in certain spaces and certain businesses, and feeling like whether or not our culture is being appropriated or capitalized on, but the people aren't being embraced. But if there's a way to take our money, you know, sometimes that seems to get figured out, but we don't always feel welcome and accepted while there's money being made. Some even say that like
culture without the people.
Yeah. Some may even say like that we get blocked out of some money opportunities. And then we evolve, you know, to a point to where some may call some folks tokens and say, ooh, well, like if we get a couple Black people and we throw them a few dollars, then maybe everybody else will be quiet and they won't say anything. They won't say anything to all that we doing behind the scenes and we make it behind the scenes. Right. So yeah, you know, so that's what happened. That's been happening. So when we talk about Charlottesville festivals and our representation, and we talk about even the downtown mall. So they kind of came to a head last week because there was a Tom Tom Festival. And you know, and the Tom Tom Festival itself, you know, while on the surface does a lot of things, and you know, folks will say that it does a lot of good things, right? Like they provide stages and businesses get amplified, and you know, I understand that there's different awards and you know, things like that people can win. But then at the same time, they've taken over the downtown mall, right? Like reserving a space, the size of a space is kind of unheard of. In the downtown mall, this is how it all comes to a head. There's also a space where you hear a lot of folks in the Black community say that they don't always feel welcome.
Right.
So then when you see something like Tom Tom come in
the businesses.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Inside the businesses. Or even just walking on the pedestrian mall, some folks feel like they're still being profiled, right? Feel like they're being watched and things like that. So then Tom Tom takes over the mall and then has, you know, like, has a hip hop portion of it that this past week was down at Ting, the Ting Pavilion, which I must say, to me felt a bit segregated. I don't know if that was intentional, purposely done or what, but it was like there was things happening on the mall itself that felt very, very different than what was happening in Ting. And I was kind of like, why isn't like everybody congregating down here, you know, at Ting for the hip hop portion, let's call it, you know. So that was interesting. So later on that night, when the Ting Pavilion show closed, folks started dispersing. Folks started making their way up the mall and whatnot. And of course, you know, at different times, there was different level of people. Now, here's where we get to where we want Nino to come in. Because firsthand, right, there's a lot of opinions and things like that, a lot of videos floating around, and just want to hear her account. And again, this is just her account, right? Other people may have had a different experience or a different purview, but our man Mr. Nick DJ Runway has been doing these downtown mall pop-ups for a little bit of time now, where, you know, like late at night, be on the mall, sort of impromptu, sort of like flash mob kind of thing, people just pop up. I've never seen or heard anything saying that it needed to be stopped or shut down. And it's always been peaceful. It's another thing, you know, people want to talk about, whether it's going to bring trouble. It's been peaceful. So all that being said, it happened after the Tom Tom Festival events ended, and this time there was a problem. This time there was talks about he should have had a permit, or they should have had a permit, all these kind of things. where folks were, where they shouldn't have been? Was it too loud, too many people? Again, pretty sure I saw crowds before congregate close to that, loud music being played, never been a problem. So did that come to a head with the tom-tom? Was it something there that where people felt like, whoa, it's like we got people in town. We don't want that right now. We want that kind of representation. So, Nino, you were there, right? Like all I want to do is give a broad overview. Yeah. But from when you and the crowd you were a part of started congregating and when the music started, kind of walk us through that as far as like what you saw from your perspective, how it played out. Yeah.
Okay. So, so like Charles mentioned, DJ Runway, Nick, had it all set up, was, in my opinion, when I walked onto where the scene was happening, it was prior to the music even being played. There was still a large group outside of Raptures downtown. They were all just congregating, still peaceful, be that as it may. Of course, there were police presence, but they weren't really in the crowd, so to say. And when I went to go say, hey, or what's up to DJ Runway, I asked like, oh, I didn't even know you were popping out down here. What time we getting started? What time we doing this? In my opinion, he was, from the get-go, clearly trying to be respectful of the time, respectful of the time frame. Wasn't trying to be like an all-night,
What time was this?
So this was at 12:45. Well, when I first walked on, it was like 12:30 a.m. He said he was specifically going to start at 12:45 just so it wouldn't go on for a long period of time and it wouldn't feel like he was out there, in the eyes of the police 2 or 3 hours. So he made sure he specifically started at 12:45 a.m. Soon as the music played, I'd say about halfway through the first song, police already 5 or 6 deep walked over to the DJ booth and told him, hey, you got to cut it. And that automatically caught him, by surprise because, as Charles mentioned, he's done these pop-up before. Maybe not to this big of a crowd, again, it was after the Tom event, but it still drew some people in.
Can I ask a question? And try to keep your thought too, but I just want to make sure we don't forget anything. So at that point, was it, could it have been that the crowd was infringing on businesses and other people's property? Like could that be the case where they felt like the crowd was too large to control? Yeah, okay, that's a good question. But in my opinion, from where I was standing and even walking back and forth, I don't think so.
How large of a crowd was it?
I'd say it was about 150 people, or here,
give or take a little. Yeah. Okay.
So, and also this is people that were also just leaving from the Ting Pavilion. So people were walking and things like that. It wasn't stopping traffic, foot traffic or anything like that.
And I imagine there was that many people on the mall anyway.
Exactly. Throughout the festival. Throughout the festival as well. So I've been, outside of that strip. If people know downtown where Raptures is, people hang out on that strip all the time. And it's never been like an infringement on a business or anything like that. So I definitely don't think that's what it was. There was, during the debate of cutting the music off, they did find some way to try to say, well, oh yeah, there's apartment buildings and condos up here, and that may be, in my head, something they just were trying to run with. There was no real life complaints. Like I said, within the first song, they had already came over there and told them that, no, it wasn't like they were getting calls in and things like that. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, so when that happened, he automatically told him, I'll pay whatever ticket, whatever fine that needs to be paid, because in real life, it's an ordinance, so that is, in my opinion, and unless I'm wrong, and if you guys can correct me or not, that's not really an arrestable offense unless you continuously come back and do it over and over again. But in that moment, he said, go get the meter. That's
were the officers threatening arrest?
After he challenged him on saying, get the meter and let me know what that is, they came back 30 minutes later and then threatened him with arrest when he kept continuing to play the music. And this is when everyone is starting to look and get involved in the conversation. There was even an officer that I think this really enraged the crowd. Amidst Nick trying to be still professional and talk, cop to civilian, he slammed Nick's computer down, his property, and that kind of boosted everybody's awareness. Okay, wow, y'all being very serious here.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all wanted to.
But a part that I'm kind of hung up on too is that, again, it's a pedestrian mall. So I can understand, right? If I'm being level-headed, right, is that if there is infringement on my business, or like you're within my doors, you're blocking traffic, so I'm losing customers, whatever the case is, like from my door, then like that's the point. But the simple fact of there being large groups and music playing, again, if it's happened before, we can't as a city just administer laws and rules when we feel like it. There has to be a level of consistency, or else how will the civilians know what they're capable and allowed to do?
Yeah. And I do want to touch on the point of, I completely understand what you're saying, like infringing the business, but keep in mind, this is at 12:45.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing else open other than Raptures.
Except for the bars.
Yeah,
a couple bars. Yeah.
There's Raptures right there, and I don't think there's one really beside it. You got to walk a little further down, but there was really no business being infringed, in my opinion, unless I got the layout wrong. But I completely think it was solely based on. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand the perspective of let's try to nip this in the bud before it gets out of control. But it was completely peaceful. He had even promoted a local artist, let him do a couple songs. People were very happy and excited about that, and everybody was just having a long game. In my opinion, I felt no danger whatsoever. I didn't feel like, let me look over my shoulder, make sure that's not happening, or I'm getting trampled. It was very peaceful, very organized, and it was a good 15 minutes of fame that it lasted. So I just felt like the negativity came when the police tried to make their presence known and make that they were in control, regardless of how the situation was going, good or bad. So. That's
now, what about the take of, well, we wouldn't be out here if your businesses were more welcome, if the event spaces were allowing us to do this within the walls?
Right.
I'm like, what's both of y'all take on that? Like, do we feel like that's sort of the answer here?
Well, in order for me to really have what I feel like an opinion about all of this that I can stand on, I got questions that, I don't have the answer to, and people in this room necessarily don't have the answer to, which is like, if the DJ had been doing these type of events on the downtown mall in the past and there was no issue, like, why were those allowed? Were there proper people aware of the events, and then why were those allowed? What was the triggering point that caused the authorities to stop this particular gathering? So, what happened there? I did see one of the videos, Nino, of that whole ordeal, and one of the things that the DJ kept repeating is, I have permission. Okay, so the next question is, who do you have permission from? My next thought is, there's a difference between like permission and permit. And to my knowledge, could be wrong, is that a gathering on the mall, I don't know. I have to say, I don't know what constitutes or what's the definition of like a gathering, a party or what have you on the mall. But was there a permit? Did he or whoever helped to organize this event have a permit in order to be there? Those are the questions that I have. And were there, in fact, other groups of people, do not look like, the group that you were in, who were doing the exact same thing on the mall after the festival, and who were maybe not asked to leave in the way that y'all were?
Yeah, so one point I do want to make too is that not once did, at least that I heard, and I was right there for majority of the conversation, that they brought up the issue was the number of people. They constantly kept making the issue about the noise, the noise. So I do want to point that out, and even me rewatching the videos, they didn't make the issue that this large group is out of control. They were just making it to the point and putting it all on the fact that Nick is playing this in to a loud extent, and that people may complain.
Which we know is BS, because it's been done before, and whiskey jar, Miller's, doors and windows be wide open, bands blasting, people out front, drunk and loud. Where the cops at?
And one thing I think that was, in my opinion, very obvious about this is that there was no like malicious intent. Like we gonna, forget the rules, forget the authorities. We're gonna set up, we're gonna do our thing at our, our own cost, and it's whatever. It wasn't combative or contentious in that way. It's just people getting together who wanted to listen to music and have fun and enjoy each other's company. That's really, and a DJ who wanted to give them that. That's really all that I got from that. But, to your point, Charles, about there being a space for, if we as Black people want to be on the downtown mall for events like that, I think that the city needs to embrace that, and that they create a space for the people who want to do that to be able to do that, and not miss the point that there are certain things that happen across the city that, that our police department, our city council, our city staff, it hurts our community and want it to end. I can go to, we can go to gun violence, we can go to this, we can go to that. So when you have a group of people who are just trying to have fun and enjoy each other, and there not be, any negative connotation to their guests, why not embrace that and give them what they're asking for?
I will say that, and have that respectable conversation of understanding or middle ground trying to be found, and the officers weren't trying to hear it. There, people have been out all day, of course, maybe had a drink or two, but they were still, it was several people I saw trying to have that, hey, can you understand that we're just trying to do this? Literally the things that you were just saying, that we're trying to be peaceful, respectful. Right. Why can't you understand that, officer? And it was like one ear and out the other. So it's like, and to segue from that to that is that I did see a post that kind of, I forget who said it, but that someone recent that was involved in that posted like the next day or two, said they were having a community organization fundraiser to bring the community closer together. And it's kind of like, what's the problem when we do that on our end too? Why is it you guys always have to be praised because you have this event or this little fundraiser or this promotional thing going on? But as soon as we do it on our own account and it's peaceful, it's actually bringing people together. So maybe 10 of those people in that 150 people don't get along, but they were still in the same area or room, which is outside. But I don't. That's one thing I don't agree with. I agree with you, but I'm saying I don't agree with the way that was happening. Is that if this is about community, which a TomTom thing is about that, and also giving chances and opportunities. This is after hours. We're all having a good time. Unless you see a crime or potential of the crime going on, why shut that down and make us not agree with you as an officer or police force even more if you already think that's what's going on?
Because 100 Black people is intimidating.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's be honest. To them. Let's be honest. But on top of that too,
I never felt safer in a crowd.
I think that may be a good way to end it, because Max, you talked about, and both of y'all talked about venues and spaces, right? There's a lot of dismay and a lot of history known about even like certain festivals, this one included, and about how it wasn't intended for us, didn't represent. There was pressure that gave it the facade that is now intended for us. We have other opportunities, other events. We have people doing things that can be supported, right? So some of that accountability falls on us as well, right? To get to a point where we don't have to beg for it anywhere, because there's like power in unity, right? Like, so at some point we got to make up our mind too of getting along for the greater good. And make some of these things happen. There's a lot for us to be able to support, because I don't believe the city is going to give a majority of Black people permit to shut down streets and own the mall. But I feel like we still have to work together and support what we do have, and it'll grow organically.
Yeah, I don't, I can't, I think it might be inclined to, Charles. I think it may be. I don't think that we are progressive as we claim we are either, but I think it may be inclined to. We just as Black people have to realize that we got to cross our T's and dot our I's if that is in fact, so for whatever it is that we want or plan to do. We have to understand, because it has the greater probability of being shut down or shut out. We have to make sure that we do everything that we can, that's within our own power, to prevent that from happening. And, you mentioned something about some fundraiser that took place afterwards. And the other point I want to make is that individuals have to, I'm going to say, reach people where they are, in that they have to understand how we commune, how we get together.
Yeah, that's true.
How we enjoy each other. Right. And for us, a lot of times that's music.
Yeah.
That's music, right? Yeah. I guess the other thing that I want to point out is that I'm going to go ahead and mention this over the air, and hopefully it's not taken out of context. But I read a Facebook post that former Mayor Walker posted. Maybe it could have even been the second day of Tom Tom. And I have immense respect for her. And hopefully she's okay with me sharing this, but I read it, and it was criticism of Charlottesville and its leaders, and a call to action, if you will, of Black people participation in the Tom Tom event. And when I read it, I was like, dang, let the people breathe, It was like, because the things that, they blew the whistle, Tom Tom started, and boom, that was the post. At least that's the way I felt about it. But I have to say that it did feel a little bit funny, right? To knowing how the city does or does not embrace all of its community and stands in support in the way that certain communities need for it to be. How it drops the ball in some ways when it comes to that. And we down there dancing and shaking, and it's just like, it did feel a little bit funny. And I'm not. This is my opinion, first of all. I may not mean a damn, but considering that, it did feel a little bit funny. And the thought that came along is that if we were to take our culture and our resources and our people and our energy and do our own thing, right? We could have been somewhere else having the same fun, What would that change, and how would that change things for us as a group here in the city? What type of power would that evoke and show as far as what we can do when we unify, and the statement that it makes when we decide to come together on our own accord for our own stuff, doing our own thing? Right. So
can I plug something right there real quick too? Yeah. Everybody work on Tom Tom don't like each other. I say that because that's something that we have to get over. You can do good business and not be friends with somebody. That's why I leave it there.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that, how do I word this? So it's kind of like I don't think people like us have a problem being in those spaces. It's like BPN, Vinegar Hill, we don't have a problem taking up space and being in those spaces and making ourselves and our organizations known. It's more so the fact that two things. One, I don't think that it gets as much, maybe the words respect or whatever the other word is that I'm trying to say, when we are in control of those spaces or those rooms. Like, for example, when we're hosting that and we're saying like, we're going to take up this space and furthermore, I feel like it, to other people's perspective or events, that loses for some reason
its value.
You see it, it's value to that. Versus, like, we were trying to be in control of that situation and that gathering and that community last weekend, and it seems like it lost its value just because of simply off of that. But if, for example, they weren't, but if Tom Tom was hosting that, then I feel the value to those other people or to those authority figures is a little more probable to them,
right?
And while they may give it a little more leeway, which isn't fair, like events like BPN and events that they have, or I'm just using that for example. I don't know too many, but it's like things like that. They don't draw those large crowds. Clearly I understand. Yeah, it was a Saturday night. It was all in good fun. It was downtown mall, but it's also because some people that look like us don't feel necessarily safe in those spaces where we have at those high-end restaurants or high-end things and so forth. They don't feel validated or vulnerable in those types of rooms or spaces. So I think that's kind of sometimes where that comes from, and this is why, because of what happened Saturday, the way that happened. So that's just my opinion, as well as I heard yours, but I feel like I definitely feel like in the back of everyone's head, or why they may not go to that event, but they'll go to that one downtown is, well, I feel like we'll be more in control of this one downtown. It's more of my people that are in my space that I'm familiar with, that I'm willing to do this instead of X instead of Z. And I feel like that responsibility lies on those authority figures or the town that make it feel like that's okay or not okay.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense, and that lets you know we got a problem, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
one that's not easily solvable, but possibly the right people partnering and connecting over it. Yeah. All right.
Good I just want to shout out to DJ Runway. He was completely respectable. We need to be peaceful, y'all. We're going to keep it peaceful. Don't argue back and forth with him. I'll take care of it. So I feel like I definitely respect him trying to even get that done, and he's done that. So just shout out to him.
Absolutely.
And he's taking the right steps. I know that, to get that permit and get that space. So he's not going to let it backdraw him from going further and keeping this going. He's at least trying. So shout out to DJ.
Anybody that knows him knows he's a stand-up dude.
Yeah, definitely.
All about the community, all about the youth.
Yeah,
like never a problem. So so they definitely can't pin anything negative on it.
No, not at all. Yeah.
All right. Good combo. Let's take a quick break.